Welcome to Journey to the Cross. I wanted to take you around to the art that we have here on display, and I encourage you to come and look at it for yourself and take the time to just contemplate on what Jesus did over this week of Passion Week, and consider for yourself the sacrifice that he gave for you and for me. And we can start here with our first painting, which is of a carpenter. And just imagine that Jesus, probably by trade, was a carpenter and did that to make a living. And yet he was more than just a carpenter, more than just a man. He was God in the flesh come to earth. And so as we come over here, we see Jesus as the coming king, coming into Jerusalem with the palm trees, the palm branches, and the cloaks laid out before him as he's walking into Jerusalem. And as he gets close, he sees the city and he weeps over it, saying, "Would that you, even you, had known on this day the things that make for peace." It was sad for Jesus to consider that so many people would miss what Jesus' life and death was all about. And then on the night when they had the Lord's Supper, the Passover, during that meal, he took off his outer garments and wrapped himself to wash the disciples' feet, to show that he, even at this moment, was thinking about others, to serve them. And we have these bowls to represent Jesus' washing the disciples' feet, but also the call for Jesus for us to go and wash others' feet. And then we have the Lord's Supper with the bread and the wine. The last meal representing his blood and his body being sacrificed for us. Over here we have two images of perhaps Jesus praying in the garden and coming to his Father and asking for the cup to pass before him, and yet willing to walk obediently in the purpose that God the Father had for him. And it was a very tough experience, and we know that Jesus wept and sweat what looked like great drops of blood. But we know in Luke that an angel actually came and ministered to him in the garden to strengthen him and encourage him. After Jesus got arrested, he was mocked by the soldiers and ridiculed by them. You can see the soldiers in the background. And here we have the crown of thorns. And then Jesus was sent to be crucified, and in doing that, he was scourged. And this image is to represent the lashings that Jesus took on our behalf. Over here we have paintings of streets in Jerusalem. Imagine Jesus carrying the cross, or Simon of Cyrene carrying Jesus' cross through the actual streets of Jerusalem out to Golgotha. And then here we have an image of the people who had followed Jesus out there. And the passage that we included here says, "And there followed him a great multitude of people and of women who were mourning and lamenting for him. But turning to them, Jesus said, 'Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children.'" Which brings us to the cross, and Jesus dying on the cross. They crucified him. And as he's hanging on the cross, we see the life that was in him extinguished. And the passage here says, "Then Jesus, calling out with a loud voice, said, 'Father, into your hands I commit my spirit.' And after saying this, he breathed his last." And this beautiful cross that was lent to us represents the beauty that believers see in the cross. And here we have, when the centurion who stood facing him saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." And finally, Jesus coming down off the cross. "This is my body, which is broken for you." And consider Mary over her son's body. God in the flesh came and he died for each one of us so that we might have life. I pray that this week you will take time to consider what he has done.